Legion, it's Adrian. Thank you for being here. Let's talk about Imperator Rome, which was just announced today, Saturday the 19th of May, 2018, and is due out in 2019. We'll take a look at the first screenshots of the game in just a second, but let's first just go over what we know so far. First of all, if you're unfamiliar with the hype train around this announcement, right now the annual PDXCON is happening over in the wonderful land of Sweden. For the past week, Paradox stalwart Johan Andersson has been teasing the announcement of a secret title that he's been working on behind the scenes. Each day this week, there would be a new teaser. And the teasers were a masterclass in how to troll your fanbase, especially when any hint of a new grand strategy title from Paradox seemingly makes the vast majority of Paradox faithful lose their minds, just hoping for Victoria 3. It's become such a meme at this point that it's hard to tell how many folks are serious about their insistence that Victoria 3 happen and how many are just playing along with the joke. So as you can see, there was lots of strategic ambiguity and hints that could lead to more than one game, although the current of popular consensus did start flowing in the right direction by the end of the week, and that direction is Imperator Rome. Again, it's due out in 2019, and geographically it's going to focus on the Mediterranean region, and will start the player off as early as the era of Alexander's successor kingdoms in antiquity, and then let the player go through more than 4 centuries to the formation of the Roman Empire, and perhaps a little bit beyond. The exact length of the game calendar is still under wraps, so we'll have to see. Here's the description straight from the Paradox store. Forge the greatest empire the world has ever known. Alexander, Hannibal, Caesar. These great men and dozens like them shaped the destiny of a continent. Mighty kings, clever generals, and would-be gods made their mark on the ancient Mediterranean. Around this sea, close-knit nations tested their mettle and virtue against each other in fierce combat. Their cultural and political legacy now inseparable from what we understand as Western civilization. But nothing was guaranteed. Can you change the course of history in Imperator Rome? This is going to be a historical grand strategy in the vein of Europa Universalis and Crusader Kings. If you haven't played those games before, think of it as strategy for people who actually enjoy strategy and empire building and resource management. When you think of typical mainstream strategy games, at least traditionally, you have a blend of strategy and action, where half of the game is strategy roughly, and the other half is combat and warfare. So it's half thinking and half visceral, and that approach to strategy design has been really popular, because it lets people put more thought into the games they love when they want, but at the same time there's still a considerable focus on the action component. Games like the one Imperator is going to be, however, are more wholly built around the complex decision-making and adaptations that go into maintaining large empires. There's still combat and warfare, but the overwhelming focus of the game is on management and strategy. If you are familiar with grand strategies, you might not know that back in 2008, Paradox actually released a game called Europa Universalis Rome, and Imperator seems to be bringing at least some elements of that game back. For example, there are going to be individual characters like in Crusader Kings, but the game will have a territorial expansion and large-scale empire management focus like Europa Universalis. So this is the initial feature list in the announcement for the game. Character management, a living world of characters with varying skills and traits that will change over time. They will lead your nation, govern your provinces, and command your armies and fleets. We will also introduce our new, more human-like character art. You'll see some of that in the screenshots in just a second. Diverse populations, citizens, freemen, tribesmen, and slaves. Each population with its own culture and religion. Whether they fill your armies, fill your coffers, or fill your colonies, keep an eye on their happiness. Your success depends on their satisfaction. Battle tactics. Choose your approach before battle to counter the stratagems of your foes. Military traditions. Each culture has a unique way of waging war. Romans and Celts have different options available to them. Unlock unique bonuses, abilities, and units. Different government types. Manage the Senate in a republic, hold your court together in a monarchy, or answer to the clans in a tribal system. This is really exciting to me because if you've played a game like Crusader Kings 2, you know that there are already deep grand strategies that allow you to manage characters in your government and in your court, in your immediate political environment. But the difference here, what this is describing, is actual different systems. In Crusader Kings 2, there are different government types, but they all kind of get crammed into the same outline where the same positions are there for each government type, and you have to generally manage each in slightly different ways. This is hinting at bigger differences between government types and the ability possibly to change between them as the years go on, which is really exciting. Barbarians and rebellions. Migrating barbarians may sack or settle your best land, while disloyal governors or generals can turn against you, taking their armies with them. Trade. Goods provide bonuses to their home province. Will you take advantage of stockpiles for local strength or trade excess goods to spread the wealth around? Provincial improvement. Invest in buildings, roads, and defenses to make your kingdom stronger and richer. So this is not the last time in this video I'm going to say this, but there's a lot to unpack there. Feel free to discuss in the comments below if there's something you're excited about in particular, or if you find out more information in the days following this announcement, let's talk about it in the comments below, because until there's really more to cover in a single video, I might not be talking about the game again for a little while, so we can have a little bit of a discussion, no matter how long it's been since the initial announcement on May 19th. So with that said, without further ado, let's take a look at the game itself, what we have of it so far. Take a good long look at this map. Paradox has declared this as their most detailed map ever. Don't just look at the provincial map in the main screen, which is beautiful and it looks really, really nice and detailed. Look at the mini map. This part of the map that we're looking at on the main screen might be the centerpiece for many players who are especially trying to play as Rome, but we're looking at less than a quarter of the geographical area of the mini map. Look at this. You can tell that the map will stretch past India and will probably at least touch the border of ancient China. And of course, there'll be plenty of map modes, as you can see. It wouldn't be a Paradox title without map modes. Each province can have an individual governor and is littered with cities and towns that contribute to your economy. Look at the settlements in the area of Rome alone. Look around Rome. Rome is the largest city on the east shores of the Tiber River here. There are some interface elements up top that should look familiar to EU Rome players and EU4 players as well. We can see a treasury, we can see population, stability, and then it was probably tyranny or maybe corruption, and then what appear to be different categories of leader power as in EU4. The last one I'm not as sure about. Again, let's talk about it in the comments below and see what that sun might represent. Here's a closer look at a governor and some individual settlements within a province, in this case, Neapolis. So Neapolis alone has at least 9 towns of varying sizes, each with unique trade goods. As you look down the list, you can see that each town has a unique good. This screenshot should also give you a pretty good idea of what those new human-like characters look like that were mentioned in the main features description. It appears you can individually upgrade and downgrade a city barracks, the city walls, the marketplace, and beyond. Lots to talk about, again, in this screenshot, so feel free to pause and then share your thoughts in the comments down below if you need to at any point in these 5 shots. Here's a bit of combat featuring seemingly equal parts archers, cavalry, infantrymen, mounted lancers, and pikemen. Not much to say here, so again, if you want to look at this one for a moment and maybe talk about it below, pause here, because we're going to go to the 5th one now. Finally, here's a shot of the territories just northwest of Rome. It's not explicitly stated in the screenshot, but judging by what I'm looking at, this is very likely what it looks like if you start out a game as the Etruscans rather than as the Romans, because this is definitely the Etruscans that are being represented right here. So that's the long and short of it for now, just on day 1 of Imperator being announced. There is a lot here, not only for Paradox fans, but for those of us here on the channel, just to be stupidly excited about. This is the game that I really wanted to happen when Johan started teasing the reveal, so you can count on this one coming to the channel as soon as we can get it, and I'll definitely be covering more once I can actually put a video with enough material together to give you guys more information. If you enjoyed this overview and you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that button so I can keep you in the loop. Again, I'll be posting new updates for Imperator as often as I can put together substantive videos. In the meantime, as always, there's plenty of other grand and sci-fi strategy content to enjoy. Comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.